Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be building not one, not two, but 5 different farms that I've been wanting to build for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. In the last few episodes, we have been doing a lot of building in our city as well as around our city, and you can see the lake which we built last time. I've been doing a little bit of work adding in details on stream so you can see some of the work that we've done over here. I've also started changing some elevation in the middle of the lake because it was looking just a little bit flat. But we've got a lot more that I want to do, and one of the farms that we're going to be building is going to help us take this to the next level. And maybe we'll get to that today, but I'm thinking today is going to be focused on getting these farms built and not so much on working on this lake. So the farms that we're going to be building today will be for bone meal, shulker shells, sculk blocks, XP, and mud. I think that's a pretty good list of farms to build. Before we can start building those farms though, we're going to need to get a few things together. It took me a little bit, but we now have everything collected up in these shulker boxes we're going to need for all 5 farms. And of the 5 farms that we're going to be building, the shulker shell farm is going to be the most challenging. So I think we should start with that one. The shulker shell farm that we're going to be building was designed by Dark Victor, Ending Credits, and Balllight XY. I've included a link in the description to the video tutorial so that way you can check it out as well. And while this farm can be built in the overworld, we're going to be building it in the end. Because this is not the only farm that we're going to be building in the end. We've got a couple others that we're going to be doing here, so I think it just makes sense to have them all in the same location. We will just have to pick out one of these portals to go through to be able to get to the end, and I think we also want to be able to make sure that we can find it easy. So let's see. We've got this portal here. We're going to line it up with that one. We know where we need to go. Let's head in and find a good spot to get this built. There do not appear to be any in cities nearby, so I think let's go find a different portal to go through because we want to have one that's pretty close to an in city so we don't have to transport shulkers very far. Now this is what I'm talking about. We've got a city right here. I may have raided this, but no, look at that. We've got shulkers as well. This is the perfect place to build the farm. We've got an area cleared out. We've got everything that we need in my inventory. We're all set up. I think it's time to build this farm. Let's get started. Getting this shulker shell farm built was not too bad. I should have built this a long time ago because I have had lots of storage problems that could be solved with shulker boxes, and I just never had enough. Now that we've got this built, I'm hoping we are going to have plenty of shulker boxes forever. So the farm is now built, and I think we've got everything in the correct place. I was watching the tutorials so closely to make sure we've got everything where it needs to be. But the next thing that we need to do is find a shulker to get added into it. And the shulker is going to be key, but also probably something that's going to be a little bit challenging. But to make the process a little bit smoother, there are a few things that we should get. We're going to want to get some potions of invisibility and some splash potions of healing. And the potions of invisibility are for me so that the shulkers won't see me. The potions of healing are for the shulker so that way it's fully healed up before it goes into the farm. Step 1 of getting the shulker is to get the rail set up so that way we can transport it from over by the city up into our farm, and we need to get it close enough so that when the minecart breaks, it will enter the farm. So we have an activator rail right here, and that's going to cause the minecart to break so that the shulker will then enter the farm. We now need to get these rails going all the way down. We'll power them using these levers right here. Hopefully, I think, yep, that's going to work. Now, one thing I am worried about is whether or not I'm going to have enough rails to reach the city. It's not looking good. I may need to craft up a few more. Oh no, we don't have enough. We're so close too. All right, we should be able to craft some up though without having to go back to base. Let's see, we should need maybe a stack. I think that should be enough. Here's where things are going to get interesting because we got to get into the building and get the shulker. So we're going to drink our potion of invisibility, which should last for about 8 minutes. I think that's enough time. Take off our armor so that way we're not visible. And then we're going to go inside. And I think the door, looks like the door is right there. So we should be able to go in through here. We've got the staircase here. That's not ideal, but now we've got this path here. And what we need to do is we got to get these blocks. We're going to put these blocks right here. We're going to put a block there. And then we're going to get powered rails down like that. We should have a lever here. We're going to power those. And then we're going to get our regular rails, which we already have here, and take them outside just like this. Now, according to the tutorial, this should be able to work. Oh, let's get our rails set up correctly here. That's connected up. If we get the minecart, will this work? Oh, it does work. Oh my goodness. Perfect. We've got it going along here. Now what we need to do is get our splash potion of healing real quick and splash it there. Oh, I don't know that we got it. Here, let's go ahead and break a minecart. No. All right. Well, let's just see if this is going to work. No, it went on to the side. Okay. What if we break the blocks? Maybe if we break the blocks. I think it went where we want it to go. I've done some checking and I think we got the shulker where we want it. So now let's go in and see whether this farm is working. Our first step is to go up here and we open up this door. We go inside. We go inside. We go inside and our shulker is there. I think that's where we want it. Okay, so we got the farm turned on, which we turn it on with that lever right there. That causes the snow golems to fire at the shulker. And then that's going to send the shulkers off into the different areas. Apparently, they somehow end up dying, and then everything ends up in these chests here. If you want to know how this farm works, I'd suggest watching the tutorial because they explain that in more detail. But we're going to give it 15 minutes, and let's see how many we can get. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes. Let's go ahead. We'll shut off the farm, and what? All right, these weren't part of that, but look at that. 2 stacks of shulker shells from 15 minutes. This may be my new favorite farm. So now that we know that this is going to work, I am going to AFK here for a little while. I've set up some beacons, so I have resistance and regeneration. That should keep me nice and healthy in case any of those shots manage to make their way in, which it does happen occasionally. And we'll see if we can get a bunch of shulker shells that we can then convert into shulker boxes. I was away for a little over 4 hours, so let's see how much were we able to get. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's so many shulker shells. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We need to turn this farm off. Otherwise, I could end up dying. But that's great news. I don't think we're going to ever need shulker shells again. Well, we've successfully got 1 farm completed, and we got 4 more to go. The next farm is actually 2 farms in 1. It's a Sculk Farm and an XP farm, and we're going to be building it here in the end because it's going to be powered by Enderman. But I've realized that I'm missing some key ingredients. So back to the overworld we go. First up, we need to get some ender pearls, and then we need to craft up some name tags. I think 63 should be more than enough. And now we need to name these name tags, and we'll probably let's just do 4 all at once. And what's a good name? I always forget. Because I do. Every time I'm trying to build an Enderman farm, I always forget the name tags for the Endermite, which is one of the key ingredients. It seriously happens every single time. All right, so the first step for building this farm is to find the furthest point on this island. And let's see. I'm thinking this might be the furthest point right here, right next to where this portal is. That's convenient. So the first step in this is to put in the lava bucket right here and wait for the lava to go all the way down to the bottom. And that's going to help us find where the bottom of the world is because we're going to be building this farm all the way down there so that we can get the best rates for it. It's looking like the lava has reached the bottom because it's not moving anymore. So now what we're going to do is take this water bucket and we're going to place it right there, which is 1 block below where we have the lava. And that's going to help us because it's going to prevent the lava source block from turning into obsidian. Although we did just turn our water into stone. But I think we're okay because we still have got the water going down and the water is going faster than the lava, so we should be fine. But that's unfortunate because we've now lost our water bucket. Hopefully we're not going to need any more water. But we are going to need more water. Oh no, our trip is ruined. This is actually a pretty easy fix because we have a whole bunch of water right here. We don't even need to leave the end. Now comes the tricky part because we've got to dig down this pillar until we get to the void, but we've got to stop 1 block before, which is where we're going to build our platform that's going to go out to where we're going to build the farm. We also have this lava, which is taking its time to go down. We don't want to get too close to it. Okay, this is the block that we want to be on, and we want to build out in that direction. We're going to get our leaves, and we're using leaves because nothing can spawn on these leaves, and that's going to be important for this farm. What we're going to do is we want to build out about 128 blocks from where this island is, so we're going to use 2 stacks of leaves to do that. And we'll probably expand this path as well, so that way we can be nice and safe as we use it. All right, we've got stage 1 completed. Now let's get the materials so we can move on to stage number 2. I've wanted to have a combined Sculk and XP farm for a while. So I came up with this design by pulling together a few different elements. The stone generators come from a design by Ilmango, and I had to make some modifications to it to be able to ensure that the Sculk veins, when they spread, didn't interfere with the lava or the water or the stone generation. And that was pretty tricky, but eventually I was able to get that together. Adding in the XP farm was much simpler by comparison. It was just a matter of putting in a platform above the Sculk farm so that the Endermen could land on it and we could then get the XP from them. But now that the farm is built, let's see how it works. So at long last, we've got an Endermite here, and it took me so long to get this guy, but I can't get the name tag placed on him. Why is that the case? All right, let's heal up, and then I guess I'll drop down and give that a try. There we go. Now that one's name tagged. We don't have to worry about him despawning, but we do need to get a few things in place here. So we're going to put in rails all the way around. Let's do that. Then we need to get a minecart. Let's get a minecart real quick. Okay, so we've got a minecart. Put that minecart there. We've got the endermite in the minecart. And now we need the minecart on our center block right here. So let's break these. Actually, we want to break that. Now we want to get that to go around. Okay. Minecart goes around. It's in the center just about. Let's break the center block. There we go. We've got the center block broken, and now we just need to push a little bit. All right. There we go. That should be everything that we need for the endermite. But with the endermite in place, our farm is now all set up. We can drop down and just see how everything is going to work. So over here, we've got this lever, and that's going to turn on the stone generators. Ah, wait. I need to do one thing. I need to put an item into this hopper right here. All right. Now our clock should be ready to go. Flip the lever. There we go. And then we're going to get stone generating in here, and the stone's going to meet up in the center point. And then once the stone is in the center point, we'll have Endermen drop down, and that will allow Sculk blocks to generate here. But if we don't want the Sculk blocks and we want to get XP, we can come up here, and right here we've got this space, which is where the Endermen are going to drop down, and we can get XP from them. And then we don't have to hit them very much because they've dropped all this way. And so they should be all clear to go. I am a bit concerned that we don't have any Endermen dropping down because there should be spawning in up there. Let's get a look up here. There are no Endermen. There are no Endermen over there. Why are no Endermen spawning on this platform? Well, let's try flying out over here. We're not getting any Endermen spawning over here either. So it turns out it was the shulkers in this farm. There were a whole bunch right here. So I've cleared them out, and you can see we now have a bunch of Endermen spawning in. Let's go check out our farm over here is doing. I think we should be all set. We're not going to need any more shulker shells. I think we've got plenty of shulker shells for the time being. So it's fine that we got that farm all unloaded, and we're now getting a whole bunch dropping down. We're probably going to want to switch over to our sword. So let's grab that. And let's see how we're doing with the XP. And the XP is going really well. This is going to be so great for repairing up all of my tools. And if we want to get our Sculk blocks, we just turn on the stone generators. We have our Endermen fall down instead of staying up on the next level. And we can get all of these Sculk blocks as much as we want. Down here in the chest, you can see the blocks that we've been collecting. We've got a lot of ender pearls, and we're going to probably need to do something to filter those out because otherwise we're going to have way too many of those and not enough of the blocks that we actually want. I'm so excited to have this farm at long last. This is one I've been waiting to do for a while. And with maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we were able to get all of those blocks, which is pretty decent. But we spent a lot of time on this farm. We still have a few more farms to get done before we're finished for today. So let's head back to the overworld. For our last 2 farms that we're going to be building, we're going to build them in the city here. The first one that we're going to build is a bone meal farm. And I want to add it to our tree farms that we have over here, because it's going to primarily help us with that. The tree farms use a ton of bone meal, And while I have a pretty good mob farm in the center of the city, which you can see just behind the glass there, it's not really able to be loaded up while I'm working on the tree farm. And so I think it'd be better to have a separate farm down here just for bone meal. And if we drop down here, you'll be able to see that we have the perfect spot to build it. For the way that this is designed, there are 4 different slots here, and I've got tree farms in 3 of the slots, but there was always a 4th one over here that didn't have anything. So it seems like the perfect spot to add the bone meal farm. So I was doing some checking. The farm that we're going to be building is 27 blocks wide and 18 blocks deep. This room is 19 blocks wide and 25 blocks deep, which means that it's just not quite the right size, but I think we could be able to make it work. And if it sticks out just a little bit, that'd probably be fine, right? Maybe? Let's see what we can do. This bone meal farm is designed by Il Mango, and I've built it a couple of other times. It's very efficient. It gives you tons of bone meal, and I would definitely recommend checking it out if you need a bone meal farm. All right, and just like that, we've got a nice little bone meal farm going here, and we're going to leave it running for a little bit because I got one thing that I want to add for this. With this farm, the way that it's designed is to just have a barrel here, and I want to be able to expand that, and we're going to add in a auto crafting system so that we can turn all of the bone meal that we get from this farm into bone blocks. And we've now got that little system set up, so if we put the barrel right here, then all of the bone blocks will end up in that barrel, and now we can cover all of this back up and we should be good to go. But now that the bone meal farm is built, we've only got one more farm we're going to be building today, and I'm actually really excited about getting this one built because so far we have been working on the technical side of these farms, but we've not built any additional structures. And this last farm that we're going to be building, which is the mud farm, we've got a structure to put around it, and I'm pretty excited about it. So we've got our bamboo farm in this build right here in the basement. We've also got our super smelter down there, but I think that we are going to put the mud farm in this area right here. And we now can build things around here, which I'd been holding off on because we know exactly where our city is going to end. So I think it's going to be the perfect time to put in a new build, and it's going to go behind our bamboo farm and next to our wool farm. So we've got this rock surface right here that we built a while back, and I want to be able to have this terrain end up at about this level going through here. So we do need to do a little bit of digging to flatten this area down to that level, but I think it'll be worth it because I'll help to keep our city from being all at the same level, and it's good to have a little bit of variety. And in comparison to some other digging projects that we've done, namely our lake, this project will be a piece of cake. With the space that we're working with, we could probably get away with just having one beacon. I think I'm going to go ahead and set up 2 beacons just to be sure. So here's our first beacon, and here is the second beacon. Let's get to work. So getting that dug out wasn't too bad. We're now going to be able to have plenty of space to be able to add in all sorts of things in this area. The first thing that we're going to do, of course, is build our mud farm, and the rest will have to wait for another day. But to build this mud farm, we're going to need a few things. So everything that we need to build this mud farm is now collected up and in these shulker boxes, except for one key item. We're going to need some mud. So it's convenient that we're going to be building a mud farm, and I think what we'll do is we'll build the mechanics for the mud farm first, so that way we can get the mud for the farm, and then we'll build the decorations all around it. One thing that we need to do is figure out where we're going to place the mud farm. Originally, I was thinking about having the mud farm line up with where the stairs come down from our wool farm here, and they come down right in line about here, and so we'd have a road running along this line up to where the mud farm is. But I've been thinking about that, and I wonder if it would almost be better to have it in line with our bamboo farm and our mob farm, because these are in a perfect angle to each other. And if we had the center of the mud farm line up with those, that could look pretty good as well. These are the types of difficult questions we have to answer in this world. But after a little bit more checking, I think what we're going to do is have the center of the farm be where this block is right here. That's in line with the center of our moss farm and the center of our mob farm. And I think that's going to look pretty good. It also gives us enough space to be able to build the farm and not get too close to where we're eventually going to have the city wall, which is what this line of stone over here is representing at this point. So now we're ready to get our mud farm built. So this is the mud farm that we've built, and this is designed by Cube Prospector, and I've included a link in the description down below to their video. I have made some additions to their initial design. So if we come up here, you can see here the design that they came up with, and this is this portion right here, as well as these pistons here. I've added in a bunch of pistons right here. So what's going to happen is all of our mud's going to go along here. These pistons will push it over. Then once the mud gets all the way down to the end, it's going to push that layer of mud down, and then the next layer will come in, and then it'll push it down, and then the next layer will come in and push it down, and so on, until we have a block of mud that is 12 by 11 by 8. And if I did my math correctly, it should come out to about 16 and a half stacks of mud. That's a lot of mud. The other addition that I made to the farm was to add in this dropper, and this is automatically going to give me dirt that can then be turned into mud. So what's going to happen is that these chests can be filled all the way up with dirt, and then once we place in the dirt here and we get this started, it's going to spit out a dirt block to me, and then eventually we're going to end up with mud getting generated. There we go. So it just takes a little bit to get this started, but once it gets started, you can see all of this dirt is going to get converted into mud pretty quickly. Now, to ensure a smooth process, I added this slab here, and that means that we can hold down our right mouse button and place in these blocks, and we don't have to worry about a block being placed on top. But now you can see how the mud is going to go. So it gets pushed down there, it's going across, and we can keep doing this until you see that it pushes it down, and we've got this layer here, and then new mud is going to come in. Now, it looks like we did get a dirt block there. Not sure what happened, but this is a pretty good system. So now I just need to get the mud collected up that we're going to need to build the building around this farm. And then once we have a block of mud, look at how fast it is to clear it all out. Boy, is that a satisfying sound. So in less than 10 minutes, we got almost 9 stacks of mud. That's a lot faster than the system I was using before, and it's going to be super useful to be able to get the rest of our city built. But I think we've spent enough time building technical things today. Let's get a proper building built. Our mud farm is now complete, and I've also done a little bit of decorating on the exterior, which was a little bit more than what I was planning to do. Now, for these little decorative objects at the front, you're going to have to use some imagination because these copper bars will eventually turn green, and I think that'll be a much better fit for the overall design than the current orange color that we've got here, but we've got to wait for that to oxidize. As we go up, you can see we've added in our cypress trees, which we have throughout the city. And something that I've been starting to do in other parts of the city is to put in some coarse dirt and rooted dirt, as well as some podzol underneath the trees. And I think that that really helps to sell the fact that these are actual trees living here and not just placed on top of the grass. But if we go inside, we've also done a little bit of work on the interior as well. You probably saw it in the time lapse. So we've got these copper grates going around, which has this little platform here. We've got these stairs which lead up to where the mud farm is, and then where our pistons are, we've got a little platform here. So when the mud comes down, we're going to be able to easily access it just using this platform. We can go up, we can create the mud right here. We can go up and load up our chest right here really easily, and everything is all set to go. If we go outside though, we also have these little platforms here, and they make for some good viewing platforms for not only our city, but also our lake and the surrounding area. And we've got a lot more space here that we're going to be able to fill in. I didn't want to get too carried away with the exterior decorating because I'm not quite sure exactly what's going to go around this farm. But overall, I'm really happy with the addition of this building to our city, and I can't wait to add even more in. But I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, see you later.